All right, ready to dive in. Today we're all about building routines. Routines that help us manage asthma. Routines that make life easier and honestly, just more enjoyable. We're looking at tips from our very own Asthma Friend online community.
I think it's so cool. It's
Right.
like a bunch of, buddies sharing their advice.
Yeah. No lectures.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how Asthma Friend breaks the day down into like manageable chunks, right? Like morning, home, work,
Right.
food, exercise, sleep.
Yeah.
Way less overwhelming than overhauling your whole life
Right.
at once.
Totally. And speaking of mornings, there's one tip that kind of caught me off guard. Okay. Checking the air quality. Oh, yeah. First thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know air pollution is bad,
Right.
but I never really put it together that even moderate levels could impact my asthma.
Yeah, you can kind of think it like starting your day with a slight handicap you didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
For sensitive lungs, those tiny particles in the air, they can really add up and make breathing harder.
Yeah.
Especially if you're sensitive, it's definitely worth it. Checking an app or website
Yeah.
before heading out, especially if you're planning on being outside or anything.
Right. So maybe taking the air quality should be as routine as grabbing that morning coffee.
Absolutely.
And while we're on the topic of routines, medication adherence, big one.
Oh, huge.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's like putting on your asthma armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you face the day.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Consistent medication, it just keeps inflammation down. Airways are open.
Right.
It makes it way less likely you'll be, caught up guard
Right.
by triggers, and something I've even heard from a lot of folks in the Asthma Friend community is that having even just a glass of warm water first thing
Oh, interesting.
can help those meds work better.
Warm water.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that an old wives' tale, or is there something to that?
It's actually really cool. Warm water acts as a natural mucolytic.
Say that again?
Mucolytic, meaning it helps thin the mucus in your airways.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it easier to clear out.
So it's like a mini spa treatment
Exactly.
for your lungs first thing in the morning.
I love that. A spa for your lungs.
Who wouldn't want that? And Asthma Friend also mentions gentle stretches. Does those help too?
They can. Gentle stretches, especially ones that open up the chest and, improve lung capacity. It can be a really nice way to start the day. We're not talking like intense workouts here.
Right.
Just more about getting your breath flowing and your body moving. Think of it as like waking up your respiratory system.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got our morning routine sorted. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the home front.
All right.
What does Asthma Friend have to say about making our homes an asthma heaven?
This is where we get to play detective.
Okay.
Asthma Friend really reminds us that often the biggest culprits are the ones we don't even think about.
Okay.
Dusk mites.
Oh, yeah.
Those little microscopic critters are everywhere.
DR.
And their droppings can be a major trigger for people with asthma.
Okay, dust mites. I've heard about like hypoallergenic bedding and special vacuums. Is that really necessary?
It's all about reducing your exposure. You don't have to go overboard, but, simple things like washing bedding frequently in hot water, using dust mite covers,
Right.
and keeping humidity levels in check can make a big difference.
And I know Asthma Friend also talks about fragrances.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I love my scented candles,
I know.
but I would gladly give them up
I hear you.
for easier breathing.
It's a common trade-off, unfortunately. Scented candles, air fresheners, even some cleaning products
Right.
can irritate our airways and trigger asthma symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like strong scents either.
Right.
Mold is another like sneaky culprit, and even a little dampness can create the perfect environment for it to grow.
So we're talking keeping things clean, dry, fragrance-free.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got it. Now, I'm curious about this connection between food and asthma.
Okay.
I've heard that some foods can actually trigger inflammation.
Yeah.
Is there truth to that?
Oh, it's not just a rumor.
Okay.
It's backed by science. Certain foods and food additives, they can actually promote inflammation
Yeah.
throughout the body, including our airways. And this can make asthma symptoms worse.
Wow.
Or even trigger flare-ups.
Okay, so which foods are the good guys and which are the bad guys?
Well, Asthma Friend, they highlight anti-inflammatory foods
Okay,
like berries, leafy greens, foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, like fish.
right.
So those are like the superheroes for your lungs.
Okay,
On the flip side, we have, processed foods, which are often loaded with inflammatory ingredients.
right.
Think like added sugars, unhealthy fats, artificial additives. Those are the villains in the story.
The villains? I'm hearing avoid processed foods a lot these days. For all sorts of reasons.
It's true.
Yeah.
It seems to be popping up everywhere.
But I have to ask, what about dairy?
Okay.
I know some folks with asthma avoid it.
Dairy's a tricky one.
Yeah.
For some people with asthma, dairy can trigger an increase in mucus production, which makes it harder to breathe.
Right.
But, it's not a universal trigger.
Okay.
The key is really to pay attention to your own body
Right.
and see how you react.
Right. It's all about that personalized approach.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about managing our work or study environments. I mean, we can't exactly stay
Right.
home in a bubble all day.
True. That would be nice sometimes, but yeah. Even if you can't control, the whole office or the whole classroom, you can create, your own little asthma-friendly zone.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, think of it as like building a mini fortress against those pesky triggers.
I like the fortress analogy. So what kind of defenses are we talking about?
Well, first things first, keep your workspace clean, dust-free. It sounds simple, but it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
And try to minimize, your exposure to any strong scents or irritants like perfume or harsh cleaning products.
Right, right.
If you can't avoid them completely, then good ventilation is key.
So open those windows, let the fresh air in. What about stress? I've heard that stress can actually trigger asthma symptoms.
It's true. Stress hormones can cause inflammation. They can constrict our airways,
Wow.
which makes it harder to breathe. It's especially important for, folks with asthma to find healthy ways to manage stress, like taking breaks, deep breathing exercises.
Yeah.
Or even just a few minutes of quiet time, whatever works for you.
That's interesting. So even though, exercise can be stressful, it's still important for people with asthma.
It is. It's a little bit of a paradox, right?
Yeah.
But exercise, especially the right kind,
Right.
can actually help improve lung function
Okay.
and reduce asthma symptoms.
So we're talking like low-impact activities like yoga or swimming or walking.
Exactly. Activities that allow you to control your breathing and exertion levels.
Right.
And of course, always having your inhaler handy
Of course, yeah.
is crucial. Think of it as your trusty sidekick
I love that.
on any fitness adventure.
Okay, so we've covered morning, work, and exercise. That brings us to the all-important topic of sleep.
Ah, yes. Sleep.
Yes.
The holy grail for everyone, but especially for those of us with asthma.
Right.
Poor sleep can actually weaken our immune systems,
Wow.
which makes us more susceptible to infections
Right.
and even asthma flare-ups. It's like setting ourselves up for a losing battle.
Okay, so how do we create that perfect sleep sanctuary? Asthma Friend mentions like hypoallergenic bedding and elevating your head. Why is that?
So hypoallergenic bedding helps reduce our exposure to those pesky dust mites we talked about earlier.
Right.
And elevating your head can actually improve airflow and reduce nighttime coughing. It's like giving gravity a helping hand.
Interesting. And I also noticed they recommend avoiding like heavy meals before bed.
Yeah.
Is that an asthma thing too?
It can be. Late night meals, especially those rich in spicy foods, can sometimes lead to acid reflux.
Right.
And acid reflux can irritate the airways and trigger asthma symptoms.
So it's back to kind of listening to our bodies and paying attention to our individual triggers.
Exactly. It's all about creating a sleep environment that promotes relaxation and restful breathing. Think about temperature, ventilation, even noise levels.
So many things to consider.
I know, right?
Asthma Friend really does a great job of breaking it all down.
They do.
Okay, last but not least, they talk about the importance of tracking symptoms.
Yes.
I have to admit, keeping a diary seems a bit tedious.
I hear you.
Is it really that helpful?
Think of it, less as keeping a diary and more as like becoming an asthma detective.
Okay.
Right? So by tracking your symptoms, your medication use, your potential triggers, you start to see patterns and you can really pinpoint like what specifically sets off your asthma. And this is valuable information for you and your doctor.
Right.
To help adjust your treatment plan and, make your daily routine even more effective.
It's about taking control, right?
Absolutely. It's about empowerment. And speaking of taking control,
Yeah.
Asthma Friend recommends using a peak flow meter.
A peak flow meter. What's that?
So it's a small handheld device that measures how quickly you can exhale air from your lungs.
Oh, okay.
So it can give you an early warning if your airways are starting to narrow even before you feel any symptoms.
So it's like a little early warning system.
Exactly.
Built right in. That's pretty cool.
I think so.
And Asthma Friend also emphasizes like having an action plan
Oh, yeah.
in place.
Huge.
Right.
Yeah, this means, knowing exactly what to do.
Right.
If you have an asthma attack, who to call, what medications to take.
Right.
So having a plan can really help you feel more in control and confident.
Right.
In managing your asthma.
So it all comes full circle back to that first tip about checking the air quality each morning. It's like Asthma Friend is saying, be aware.
Yeah, exactly.
Be prepared.
Prepared.
And take charge.
Take charge.
Of your health.
Knowledge is power when it comes to managing asthma.
I love it. They make managing asthma sound almost fun.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
All doom and gloom.
Right.
There's so much we can do to take control.
Right.
And live full, active lives with asthma.
Absolutely.
And what's really great about Asthma Friend is that they go beyond just like the practical tips. They recognize that asthma can be isolating.
Yeah.
And they really emphasize the importance of community and support.
For sure.
I've definitely had days where I felt like I was the only one struggling
for sure.
with this,
Yeah.
And having a community where you can connect with others who understand what you're going through, share tips and advice, and just feel less alone.
Totally.
That's huge.
It's like having a whole cheerleading squad in your corner.
Exactly.
Rooting for you.
And speaking of support, did you know Asthma Friend even has its own podcast?
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called Breathe Easy with Asthma Friend.
Okay.
And it's packed with interviews with medical experts,
right?
People living with asthma, and all sorts of like interesting discussions about asthma management and well-being.
So it's like an extension of their online community,
exactly,
but in audio form.
Exactly,
perfect for those of us who love podcasts.
It's a fantastic way to stay up to date on the latest research treatment options,
right?
Lifestyle tips.
Yeah.
Plus it's incredibly inspiring to hear stories from others who are, thriving with asthma.
It's all about finding those sources of inspiration and support, right? Because managing asthma is it's a journey, not a destination.
It is a journey.
There's going to be good days and bad days.
Oh, sure.
And having that support system can make all the difference.
I couldn't agree more. And I think what sets Asthma Friend apart is their focus on positivity and resilience.
Yeah.
They don't dwell on the limitations of asthma.
Right.
They celebrate the possibilities.
I love that. It's about focusing on what you can do.
Yes.
Not what you can't.
Love it.
And it's about recognizing that you're not alone in this.
Exactly.
There's a whole community out there ready to support you, cheer you on, and help you breathe easy.
Beautifully said. So for anyone listening, who's feeling inspired to take charge of their asthma, where can they connect with Asthma Friend?
Well, their website's a great place to start.
Okay.
It's packed with, information and resources and links to an online community and podcast.
Awesome.
And they're on social media too, right?
They are everywhere.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
So there's no excuse not to connect with them. I know I'm definitely going to check out their podcast, Breathe Easy with Asthma Friend.
You won't regret it. It's like having a friendly chat, with experts and folks who truly get it.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive into Asthma Friend.
We have.
We've discovered practical tips for managing asthma throughout the day. From the moment we wake up to
Yeah,
the moment we drift off to sleep.
absolutely.
We learned about the importance of community and support.
Huge.
And we've been reminded that managing asthma is a
Mm.
journey, not a destination.
It is, and it's a journey that's definitely best traveled with friends.
So true. And Asthma Friend seems like the perfect companion for that journey.
They are, and I think they'd encourage everyone listening to remember that even small changes can make a
Right.
big difference.
Yeah.
Whether it's checking the air quality each morning, or incorporating some gentle stretches into your routine, or simply being more mindful of your triggers.
Right.
Every step you take towards managing your asthma is
Yeah.
a step towards a healthier, happier you.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. So to all our listeners out there, whether you're just starting your asthma journey or you've been navigating it for a while, remember, you got this.
You do.
And you absolutely don't have to do it alone.
We've explored so much great advice from Asthma Friend today, but the biggest takeaway for me is that sense of community and shared understanding.
Right.
It really does make a world of difference.
Yeah, it's like they say, sharing is caring. But in this case, sharing can also be empowering.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, receiving support, it's about giving it too.
Right.
Sharing your own experiences and tips and triumphs can help someone else feel seen and heard.
It's like, yeah, it creates a ripple effect of
Yes.
positivity and encouragement.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that idea of taking control. When we connect with others and we share knowledge and we build that sense of community, we're actively participating in managing our asthma.
Right.
And shaping our own health journeys.
I love that. Okay, so before we sign off, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Now that you've heard all this fantastic advice from Asthma Friend, what's one small change from today's deep dive that you can try? Maybe it's checking the air quality each morning, or adding some gentle stretches to your day. Or maybe it's, finally trying that anti-inflammatory smoothie recipe you've been eyeing. Whatever it is, start small.
Yeah.
And celebrate those little victories.
That's a great challenge. And hey, since we've been talking all about Asthma Friend, why not connect with them online?
Yeah.
Or check out their awesome podcast.
Absolutely.
There's a whole supportive community waiting for you, ready to share tips and stories and tons of encouragement.
They really are a breath of fresh air.
Couldn't agree more. So from all of us here at the Deep Dive, we hope you feel empowered to breathe easy and live your life to the fullest. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to check out Asthma Friend and join us in the community. Subscribe to our podcast as well. 18.8.